Does Mom need to pick you up too?
Please stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Deb Polly,
Here.
Molly Maniak,
Here.
Lauren Pedersen,
Here.
Corinne Hennon,
Here.
Jenny Kuski,
Here.
Christina Olson, here, Matt Bertring.
Here.
Thank you. In consideration of the agenda, there are no changes to the agenda as published. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Lauren, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. First item of business is welcome Matt to the board table. I'm very happy that you're here. So Matt will be sitting and participating, but for the 30-day waiting period, he won't be able to vote or make motions, but he will participate as a regular board member. So welcome, we're happy to have you on board. Okay, no one indicated that they wanted to make any public comment. So for the consent agenda items, we have the minutes of May 12th and May 9th, special workshop meeting on May 19th. We have the May monthly financials. For donations, we have a $50 donation to the Jordan Middle School from Holly Kavapel, $45 JES backpack program from Mighty Cause, $360 Scott West Fishing from the Fish Lake Sportsman Club, $30 to the Jordan High School bands from Sherry and Dennis Schmidt, $100 to the JHS band Steve and Bonnie Barn, $300 JHS band Jeff and Susan Steinhaus, $400 anonymous donation to the high school band. We have a donation to the Jordan Transformers, from the Jordan Transformer, for Jordan Clay Target in the amount of $500, from the Fish Lake Sportsman Club for Jordan Clay Target in the amount of $935, and Ray's Remodeling for Jordan Clay Target in the amount of $300. So thank you to all of those generous donors. Matters of employment, we have our new hires. We have Megan Erickson, grade 1 teacher, who comes in at a BA step 2. Caitlin Neurer, also grade 1, comes in at a BA 2. And we have Megan Storley, 4th grade teacher, who comes in at a BA 4. Assignment changes, Nikki Carlson, grade 1 current location is the elementary. She's moving over to the middle school as a teacher, LA academic interventionist. And we have the resignation of Royce Wiersma, grade 1 teacher. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Motion to approve.
Lauren, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Jenny. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Review and act on the overnight wrestling tournament. Review time.
All right, good evening, board. Thanks for having me here this evening. Just have a summer field trip for a handful of our Scott West wrestlers here for you to entertain. They're planning to head to Rocky Mountain Wrestling Camps out in Gunnison, Colorado here for about a week, coming up on June 14th. We have 13 of our wrestlers who are signed up and planning to travel with 2 of our coaches. The purpose of their trip is to get an opportunity to improve their wrestling skills. It's sort of a combination opportunity to compete against other wrestlers that will be there, receive some coaching from their own coaches, and then also from the camp coaches that are there also. And then an opportunity to do some team building stuff. Obviously, they'll be spending a lot of time together as they transport out there on the road. And then also while they're there, they're going to do some whitewater rafting, a little bit of basic rock climbing stuff. Perhaps swing through Mount Rushmore if the timing on their travel allows for that. So hopefully some good life experience for the wrestlers that are involved in that as well. So that is their plan. Costs were pretty minimal, $310 per student. was what was asked for those who wanted to participate. And really, that just covers their individual registration at the wrestling camp. The other stuff is really being covered by the Scott West Booster Club. So from transportation to what lodging costs there are. They stay there at the college, which is Western Colorado University. So relatively minimal cost incurred by the participants, excuse me. I'm not sure if you have any other questions about the trip, but that's kind of my summary.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion and then we can.
Motion to approve.
Lauren, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Molly. Okay, we'll open it up for discussion and questions.
So the $310 per student, that is the registration to go to the camp. That's not being covered by the Booster Club. Students are actually covering that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
How many adults are going with?
2 adults.
I see they're taking rental vans, 2 vans.
That's correct, yep.
Didn't they used to drive our vans or something like that?
They
What did they
have
used to-
they have before on a previous trip, yes, but they rented through the Booster Club this time.
Okay.
Okay, it sounds like a great opportunity
Mhm.
for the kids, so, yeah. I guess a question that I never thought of that just popped in my head. So it's all boys going?
All boys, yep.
Okay, so when the time, or if, the time comes that, girls go along too, I suppose that would take on a whole different.
Yeah, and I don't think they typically duplicate like the same camp or opportunity year over year. I think
Gotcha.
they kind of try to spread out their opportunities, but we are definitely looking to grow our girls program. So, yep, it's the fastest growing sport in the state of Minnesota.
It is.
Just ask the wrestling folks, they will tell you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great, any other questions? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving the wrestlers' trip to Colorado signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. 7.2, superintendent evaluation, discussion, and planning. It is that time of year again. I think this week I had 5 evaluations I had to do. So having said that, I want to thank Lauren. Lauren stepped up to the plate, and Lauren and I met a couple times, and we revamped the evaluation. We made it significantly shorter, we think. We tried. You want to chime in, Lauren?
We tried to, because, when we used to do the evaluations, there were like all those questions within those questions. We tried to shorten it to where you still have those main categories, but your evaluation is based on all of that information. You just have to answer like one question. So like, I think we have 5 or 6 main questions instead of 5 or 6 main questions with 5 or 6 sub-questions. So we tried to simplify it a little bit.
So having said that, how it'll work, Superintendent Evenson forwarded the evidence of the goals that we set for her last year. She forwarded to me the evidence of the work that she did all year to achieve those goals. So I will be forwarding Superintendent Evenson's goals to you, and I want to just point out that throughout her document, each of these underlined things are a hyperlink. So in order to get the details, you're going to want to go into the hyperlink to read the details of what was accomplished. So I'll be sending that along with the evaluation itself. And the goal is that we'll have it complete so that at our July meeting, we can complete the evaluation discussion with Superintendent Evenson and work on setting her goals for next year. So I'll be watching for that. This week is a zoo for me, so I probably won't be getting it out until next week, early next week, hopefully. And then I kind of like a week turnaround. Hopefully, it shouldn't take you too long to complete it because it won't be real long. So, any questions about the process or any comments, Superintendent Evenson?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate all the time that gets put into that because I think it's important conversation, and I always appreciate, knowing areas that I can continue to grow. I think it makes, my work in the district stronger. So I know it's a busy time of year, so thank you for doing that. And I think the other thing we talked about too is should you do the evaluation in July at that regular meeting, having the discussion ahead of our meeting rather than being here until 10 o'clock at night.
So we'll probably start that part of it early, the closed session early.
Yep.
and we'll communicate that timeline
Yep.
to you. Any questions? Okay. 7.3, review and act on the revised FY 24-25 budget. Ms. Haferman. This will be the Ms. Haferman show.
Yeah, well.
I get a break because John's after my budgets. So, okay, I think I'm ready. So, first we're going to talk about the fiscal year 24-25 revised budget. So I kind of did it a little differently this year. So what you see in front of you is, this is just the headlines of Fund 1. So remember, Fund 1 is our general fund. I am projecting to finish the year off in Fund 1 with a $322,000 shortfall. Some of the key points of Fund 1 are the state aid increased due to we got those VPK seats. So we utilized about 34 seats of those. They get 0.6 adjusted ADM, so the revenue for that goes into Fund 1. And it counts as our adjusted ADMs. So that's one key point. And also we had about a little over $100,000 more READ Act funding. That was just one-time funding. Some of the spending, personnel costs increased. Our property and work comp insurance increased for the fiscal year 25. We also had because the VPK, the ADMs are going into Fund 1, we had to bring those VPK salaries and benefits into Fund 1 as well. And also there were additional costs associated with the READ Act, staff training, all of those costs associated with that extra funding.
Amy, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Just for a point of clarification, the revised budget, again, is the one we live in right now, the
Yes.
year that we're finishing. And so that's why we did the budget adjustments, is because we knew that we would have that shortfall.
Are the pre-K salaries gonna go back to like community ed, or
Yep.
will they stay
They
in
will,
the?
yeah.
Yep, that'll be explained more in my
Okay.
preliminary budget, but yes. But this is where it is for fiscal year 25.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy.
So the next slide is my projected enrollment. I gave you kind of the enrollments from fiscal year 21, 22, 23, 24. And the 25 column is where I think that we're going to end. You'll see that on the bottom we have the tuition students in there, and then also the VPK, about 34 students as of right now. We have more students that are in the VPK, but they only generate 0.6 ADM. And so I'm projecting that our adjusted ADMs at June 30th, 2025 will be about 1,866. So this is the spreadsheet that I use. So this is our Fund 1. So you'll notice that we're going to begin with a total fund balances, restricted and everything, of 3.9 million. I put our revenues in there. Our revenues total about 25.7 million, probably almost 25.8. We have expenditures that total about 26.1 million for a shortfall of about 322,000, leaving us for all fund balances, 3,591,000. So next we're going to go to the Student Activity Fund. Student Activity Fund it's in my world, it's Fund 27. These funds are by the students and for the students. We have special activities in there such as Spanish activity, music activity, student council activity, prom, and senior class activity. Most of them are in the high school. There are just a couple that are in the middle school. It used to be Wolfridge has one run through there up until this year. So for this year, for fiscal year 25, I'm projecting the revenues to be about 203,000 and the expenditures to be about $231,786, leaving a restricted fund balance throughout all of the activity accounts for $38,000. A couple of high points for the student activity account, it is a year for the Spanish trip, so there's a lot of inflows and outflows for that, and that trip happens, I believe, in June.
They're there right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're there right now.
Like yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Okay. Now we're going to go on to Fund 2. So for the bottom line is we need to spend down our fund balance. MDE will only allow us to have a restricted fund balance in Fund 2 for 6 months worth of expenses. So for funding, for fiscal year 25, our funding increased. We had breakfast and lunch free to all students. And also 24-25 shows an increase in meals being served. So our spending increased as well. So we used a lot of our fund balance down. We bought equipment for at the JES, or at the elementary school and at the high school. We also bought new cafeteria tables here at the middle school to spend down that fund balance. So we've purchased a lot of equipment that has been needed. So this is a breakdown of our Fund 2, similarly the same Excel spreadsheet. So we have a beginning fund balance of $735,000. We're going to have about $1.5 million in revenue and $2,095,000 in expenditures. So you can see we're going to have a shortfall, but that's because we're spending down that fund balance. So I'm still projecting to have a little over $200,000 fund balance at the end of the year. Now we're going to go on to Fund 4, which is our community education. So Fund 4 entails all of our community ed camps, all of our classes. It also has restricted fund balances for ECFE and preschool, and also like preschool screening and things like that. So right now our total fund balance is about $100,000. Community ed is restricted balances runs deficit within. So the funding, our projected decrease in funding, and that funding decrease, the majority of it is because of the VPK students that would normally pay tuition for preschool. Those they don't have to pay the tuition, so those funds went into Fund 1. And also there was a spending increase, but personnel costs, and there was also an increase in purchase of services and utilities and supplies. We did purchase some new equipment at the CERC that's on a lease purchase, so we'll be paying for those over 4 years. And this is just a Fund 4 summary. So we have about $1.6 million in revenue, but we incurred about 1.8 in expenditures, so we will have a shortfall of about 200,000, bringing that reserved or restricted fund balance down to $100,000. Fund 6 is our construction fund. So right now we're spending down Fund 6 with our construction. We continue to run on budget. The revenues, the only revenues that are going into Fund 6 right now is the interest that we are earning from the abatement bond that we still have dollars left, and also the current construction fund. So we are spending that down, and probably at the end of this year, by the end of summer, it'll be mostly spent up. But for this year, you can turn the slide, Elise. Oh, I don't have it on there. We'll have about $4 million left after fiscal year 25, and then the rest of that will get spent in the summer and fall of this year. So Fund 7, if you can recall, Fund 7 is our debt service fund. So this fund is only used to pay our building bond payments. We get dollars received from levy dollars, which is taxpayer dollars, and also state aid, which is the building bond aid credit, and that is usually about $300,000. So we make bond payments twice a year. We make them in August and February of each school year. So at the end of fiscal year 25, we should have a fund balance of about $949,000. Fund 20 is our self-insured dental insurance fund. So we have the premiums that our employees pay and our retirees pay. That's the revenue that goes into that, and then the claims and the fees come out of that. So at the end of fiscal year 25, we should have about $73,000 in there. So my recommendation is to approve the revised budget of 2025 for the general fund, the revenues to $25.7 million, expenditures of $26.1, a student activity of $203,000 revenues and expenditures of $231,000, food service revenues of about $1.5, and expenditures of about $2 million. Community service revenues of about 1.6 and expenditures of about 1.8. Construction fund revenues of about 224,000 and expenditures of about 25 million. Revenues for the debt service are about 5,117,000 and expenditures are 5,521,000. The self-insured dental program, revenues of $127,000 and expenditures of $130,000. So a couple budget takeaways are the district is projected to end Fund 24, the fiscal year 24-25 with an unbalanced budget, but we have put reductions in place to help offset that deficit for 25-26. Our unassigned fund balance in Fund 1 is projected to be about 10.9%. The district policy is 12%. One of the key things to take away is there are more unrestricted funds that shifted to restricted, such as the literacy aid, and we will have a deficit for 24-25. Any questions?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, and then we can talk and discuss.
Motion to approve.
Corinne, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jenny, okay, now open it up for questions, for Amy and discussion.
On the food service balance, we're required to pay that down, you said? How far do we have to pay it down?
Just so we don't go in the negative. We're not, like, we can only have like six months worth of expenditures. So how I calculate that is I calculate our monthly expenditures during the year and we take that times 6 and that's what our fund balance should be. And if we don't spend it down in a certain allotted time, we'll get letters from MDE.
Okay, because just looking at last year from this year, it's a pretty big difference from what we ended with last year. So, but they were fine with that being at 735 last year?
Yes.
Okay,
We also had a plan,
to spend it down?
Yes.
Yes.
Just buying the
as
new
part of our
equipment?
building project.
Yep,
I
Okay.
guess the real question is, are we in that 6% or
Yeah.
the 6-month window
we are.
budget? Yeah.
We have not received a letter from MDE yet, so we are.
Good job, Amy.
Is there any kind of penalty, like, when you get these letters, or what's the repercussions of?
I don't think there's, I know there's not penalties. It's just they're going to advise you, as far as I know, they're just going to advise you to spend it down, or they might do something with it, but I would never want to be in that position, and
Okay.
I don't foresee us ever being in
I
that
think
position.
the biggest threat is there have been years where they have taken that money back.
Gotcha,
Um,
okay.
And so they don't want districts sitting out there with these large budgets, because then they'll reallocate it somewhere else.
Okay.
That was kind of a big conversation this year legislatively as well, because it is very restricted on how you can spend these dollars. There's a very finite list of ways. A good example is for our high school freezer and cooler, we can buy the equipment, but in terms of the work that it'll take to install, in terms of if the plug-in needs to be redone to make the plug work, that would not be food service dollars. We'd have to use other dollars for that. So it's super restrictive. So there's been a push for some flexibility in some of that legislation.
And I think also before last year, we were not able to buy cafeteria tables with those funds.
That's correct. That was
And
brand
that
new,
just happened last year.
which makes no sense. You need cafeteria tables, and ours at the high school, I think, were a hodgepodge of about 20 years old. So we replaced those. The ones here at the middle school were just under 10 years old, but were very difficult in terms of setup takedown because it was 300 individual chairs. It was just a big challenge. So we replaced those as well. It's been awesome. Good questions.
Other questions? Other questions? Hearing none, this is an action item. So, we have a motion and a second to approve the revised 24-25 budget. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is review and act on the preliminary 25-26 budget, and I'm passing these around.
So now we get the opportunity to talk about next year. And it's very hard to project right now.
Better or worse?
So, a couple things to keep in mind, or the information that you have in front of you and what's on these slides is the most current information that I have at this time. Actually, as of last Friday when I did the PowerPoint. So I am projecting right now for Fund 1 to end with a shortfall of $16,800. Our state aid, the same reasons in Fund 1 that they increased last year, they're going to decrease this year. We're not projecting to have those VPK seats. We're going to still be awarded the 100 slots, but their MDE is making the criteria back again, so we don't expect to be able to use hardly any of those seats. So that's going to bring those tuition dollars back into Fund 4. And also recall the READ Act, the additional funds that we had for the READ Act, that was one-time funding, so we will no longer receive that in in fiscal year 26. The expenditures, we did do personnel reductions. The VPK salaries that were in Fund 1 last year will now go back to Fund 4. Our workers' compensation increased. The workers' compensation insurance, we had a slight decrease. Now keep in mind, the workers' compensation insurance is not the unemployment that we pay for summer workers. This is our workers' compensation in case someone gets hurt. So that kind of decreased because our mod went down. So that was a good thing. But other areas of increase was our liability insurance increased, and a lot of that was because we added this extra square footage and we're bringing our buildings up to par as to their value. So for next year, I'm predicting about 1,800 students in our buildings, 15 tuition students, and I'm only going to predict about 2 VPK students. I mean, until we actually really know, I don't want to project that. So I'm just going to project low and get 2. So this is my spreadsheet for Fund 1. We're going to start the year with all of our fund balances about $3.591 million. We're going to have income or revenues of about $25.7 million, and we're going to have expenditures of about $25,736,000, leaving a shortfall of about $16,000, and a total ending of all fund balances of about $3.5 million. Keep in mind, I'm going to say this throughout this whole presentation, it's very likely these numbers are going to change. The student activity account, again, it's by the students for the students. We have a projected revenues of about $196,000 and expenditures of about $191,000. And there is a music trip being planned for the spring of 2026, so that's going to reflect student fees being paid and expenditures to the travel agent. Some Fund 2 highlights. We're going to have projected decrease of some income. For the past 3 to 4 years, we've also had, the state has subsidized, it's called the food supply income, and that's been since COVID happened and because the cost of food is rising, and we haven't heard yet, so that's going to be a decrease, a slight decrease in our funding. And also I haven't heard of any grant dollars being projected for next year as well. Our spending is going to decrease. We're not projected to purchase any major equipment like we did this past year. So our food service fund balance at the end of this year will be about $202,000. We have revenues of about 1.5, expenditures a little over 1.56, and an ending fund balance of about $202,000. Fund 4, remember, is our community ed. It has it carries over for all of our community ed camps at CERC and everything like that. It also has restricted fund balances for ECFE, preschool, and also preschool screening. So the community ed restricted fund balance is going to run in a deficit, with which it can. MDE allows that. We will probably have to be making some adjustments to the community ed fund. Our projected increase, we're not going to have the VPK students in Fund 1, so those preschool students are going to be paying tuition, and that's going to bring more money into Fund 4. But also the personnel increase are going to be there as well. So I'm projecting that our fund balance in Fund 4 overall will be about $47,000 next year. So we will be looking at that over the year and make sure it's running on task and as much as we projected. So Fund 6, again, is our construction fund. Our construction fund is, the construction we're on time and we're probably going to be completed by the end of fall of 2025. So our construction fund will be depleted or close to being depleted. Again, the only income that's going to be going into there is the 2023 abatement bond interest until we spend that down, and also the building bond interest until we spend that down as well. Fund 7, again, is our debt reduction or our debt service fund. We're going to pay our bonds, and we'll have I'm projected to have an ending fund balance of about $899,000 in Fund 7 at the end of fiscal year 26. Fund 20 is our self-insured dental fund. So we have the premiums that come in and surplus or deficit, so we'll have an ending fund balance of about $73,000. So it's my recommendation that you approve the preliminary budget of the general fund revenues, 25.7 million, expenditures of 25.736, student activity revenues of 196,000, expenditures of 191,000, food service of revenues of 1.53 million, and expenditures of 1,567,000. Community service, revenues of about 1.8 million and expenditures of about 1,873,000. Construction fund revenues of about 20,000, expenditures of about 2.1 million. Debt service revenues, 5,090,000, expenditures of 5,140,000. Self-insured dental fund of revenues of 127,000, expenditures of 130,000. Some key takeaways. We did have reductions that were put in place for the 2025-26 school year that are reflected in Fund 1 summary. Our unassigned fund balance at 6/30, I'm projecting to be at about 11.5%. Our district policy is 12%. With the legislature not being concluded yet, there are many things left unknown at this time. This preliminary budget only reflects what we know at this point in time.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Lauren, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Molly, okay. Open for questions and discussion.
For our unassigned fund balance in Fund 1, about how many months does that cover? I know our policy is 12%, I get that, but I want to know what the 12% covers. Does it,
It
let's
used to
just-
be that our policy was 45 days. So I know that at least covers 45 days.
Okay. I'm just asking in case
Yep.
the state decides to withhold. I don't want us to have to come up with Plan B and make sure we're good.
We are.
Okay.
For Fund 6, why do we end with a balance?
I just put that out there just in, right now, just in case there's money that doesn't get spent but it will get spent eventually, so I
Okay.
just put that out there. We
Okay.
won't have much of a balance. There might just be some things hanging out there for a while.
So I think
That's
typically-
construction.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the construction one.
Typically, they leave a contingent fund, and they
Yep.
leave money in there if there's more work that needs to be
So
done or
punch
things-
list items
yeah.
that don't, so like in August, there will be a punch list that we probably will work on the remainder of the year. So you hold some of that, so there are no surprises throughout that.
And I think
Got it.
our construction fund, each contract that we have has a 5% contingency on each of those contracts.
What happens at the end of it?
It's just zero, or there's very little money left in there and
You
it just
spend
stays
it,
in there.
And you spend it on building,
Yeah, like
things that qualify for
after
building.
like
Yeah.
2 years, and you're like, okay, we have this
Yeah,
100,000 left over. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's qualifiable things. It still has to be in alignment with what our original
With the
language was.
construction.
Yep.
Do we have any bonds falling off?
No, we had the high school bond that fell off 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
I don't believe there's any falling off, maybe within the next 5 years.
Okay.
This is better than what you originally were projecting, right?
Because of the cuts, because of
Okay.
the budget reductions. but there's a lot.
Okay.
Like I told Renee on Friday, tomorrow, after you approve this budget, it'll immediately go into a revised budget, and I'll start working on that.
I would even add, like, today, I mean, they're in special session, depending on how, who knows what happens with that. That could be a cause for revisions. I mean, you never really know going into the year what surprise you might have. A cooler might break, or something might happen that we didn't plan on. But.
And then, I know Renee sat in also, I sat in on the MSBA legislative update Friday morning.
Yeah.
And they had gotten a sneak peek at the preliminary K-12 or E-12 bill that is probably being voted on as we speak. And there was
Comp ed.
several things in there that were concerning the comp ed, library aid, specialists, that
Transportation
in-
aid.
transportation aid.
Special ed transportation is being
Yep.
reduced.
That are not in our favor.
Yeah, so the compensatory aid is one of them that we were projected to be on the good side of it by about $40,000, with the modified governor's hold harmless. And I think now we're about 50,000 less than what we anticipated, but I mean, who knows where that'll land. So there's a lot. You'll adopt a budget and immediately we will be making revisions, but that's why we come back to it multiple times a year.
And when are they supposed to be wrapped up again? We don't. I mean,
Tomorrow.
I
I
think
thought
by
it was-
7 a.m.
By
tomorrow.
7
Yeah, I thought
a.m.
it was
tomorrow, they
tomorrow
have to be done.
And if they're not, then they can.
I don't know what happens.
I truly don't know, other than I think they have to send notices to employees of the state. But I interrupted, Matt, I'm sorry.
Virginia, I was
Yeah.
looking for clarity for your purposes too, like, all the other school districts in Minnesota are waiting for the
Yes.
same thing, but do you expect full clarity before school starts? Next,
Oh.
this month, I mean,
Before
with the-
school starts, I would expect
Yeah.
clarity. It's just, we have to have our adopted budget approved by June 30th. That's MDE statute.
But the
It's
federal
hard.
piece of it is also another piece
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
depending on what happens there, the state may have to go back and call another special session and make some more revisions. So this will be very fluid.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, yeah, I was disappointed even to see the negative $16,000. That being said, I know that there are a lot of districts right now in the millions of dollars that they're making cuts. I'm glad that we were proactive and did some things, but we may still have to make some reductions.
The slide
throughout
that
this
you
year.
had with like the enrollment numbers, are those like what are students that are actually enrolled or just our projections?
Yes, and
No.
there are a couple of rows that are labeled as projections.
Yes.
So if you look at the graphic, it's the actual enrolled, and then I think there's 2 areas in the grid that are projections.
Okay.
Kindergarten being one, I presume.
Yeah, it was like 100 and
Yeah, kindergarten is always a projection.
yeah.
Yeah, but
It
I
is
mean, in terms of all
120
the
on
other
sheet.
grades, it's a projection in the last 2 lanes.
Yeah. The 2025 that I projected is pretty much, the upper part is what's here.
Bless you.
Next year is the big projection of where I think that will be.
Can you refresh my memory on the VPK dollars? Because I just don't remember the program.
So the VPK is, our ELS director every year would apply to get they're called seats. You get VPK seats, and it's based on certain criteria items that families have to have. And we were never awarded the seats, but after the legislation, they awarded more dollars to VPK. So we were awarded 100 seats. And last year, or for this fiscal year, they took away all of the criteria. Anybody who was within the age limit could participate in the VPK program. Next year, we will still get the 100 seats, but they're going to bring that criteria back.
And none of our kids will qualify.
Okay.
Maybe
That was for
one.
preschool. Remember how
Yeah.
this year everyone
Well, I
got
knew it
free
was preschool, but I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yep.
remembering the criteria piece of it.
And I keep hoping that they would just go away with that, but so
Hold
far they
harmless, but-
haven't, but they're not.
Okay.
It was like you have to have certain demographics or like
Yes.
Yeah,
certain
criteria.
income. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
questions? And this obviously takes into consideration our projections for negotiations and everything coming up.
And that I will say, knowing where we're at budget-wise, I mean, we had to take a look at that as well, and I think, in full transparency, I'm very comfortable saying that, we had to pick a number in that, and, I mean, we're looking at a 1% and a step. Because the steps themselves, even if we do nothing, let's say it's a 0-0, on any contract, moving a step costs a certain amount of dollars. So we have to plan for that, and that, I know it's gonna be tough with negotiations across the whole state, but I think we need to be really transparent that this is the money we have. And I truly would not like to make more reductions in staff. So,
I'll just say there's other ways that you could make it more enticing, I guess, like
yeah, there are language things, and I would agree with you.
work from home or less PD days or whatever that don't cost
Mhm.
anything.
Yeah, language is gonna be an important piece of this one.
Thanks, Amy.
It's been a stressful week.
Nice job, Amy.
You
I
did
don't think
great.
it's gonna get any better
I
either.
know. I know.
Any other questions for Amy? Okay, if not, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of approving the 25-26 preliminary FY budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Mr. Butine, review and act on the MSHSL annual agreement.
All right, I'll keep it relatively short and sweet here. This is an annual process for us in which we simply agree to participate in the MSHSL for the upcoming year to operate our activities under their oversight and bylaws. It would be my high recommendation that we resolve to do so. But I'm not sure if there are any questions about that part of the process, but
Okay, I'll entertain a motion first.
Motion to approve.
Lauren? Chrissy, seconds. Okay. Questions for Mr. Butine?
I just have one.
sure.
Is there any school that does not do this?
There's one that tried.
Yeah,
There's some that have,
yes, it's.
Like, I don't think it's reasonable, but like,
Public school,
yes.
well, I guess any public school and then private, yeah, like.
it's rare.
Ver-
don't do it, you can't participate.
No.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
We would have to get beyond creative with finding opportunities for our kids to compete against anyone else if we were
Yeah.
to not. agree
And
to
I'm not asking the
participate.
question to like be defiant or anything like
No,
that. I'm just
no.
asking the question because this seems like a.
That-
Yeah, well,
that-
it's a
that's-
no-brainer,
That's why
but
it's my
it's
high
kinda like-
recommendation.
But it's, I guess I'm gonna be a little blunt here, is what's the purpose? Everybody has to do it, so why does it have to be a resolution that we?
Let's just say there's been at least one district that I know of, I think a couple, where there's been quite heated discussion at the board table, and there have been no votes for different reasons, so I will leave it at that.
There are a lot of things in education where we just have to do it.
Right.
In terms of the resolution, I'm not saying this in particular, but, you would think if we're required to do it, we wouldn't have to do a resolution. We still
Yeah.
have to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's,
if-
let's create bureaucracy where there
A little bit.
doesn't need to be any.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
In part, yeah, and
It's okay.
it has our signature. If there's something that occurs under league bylaws that we don't like, they point back and say, well, you agreed to participate under what these bylaws are.
Can you remind me, does this cost us anything?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
We have to pay to be a part of it?
yeah, everybody does. and it
Yeah,
helps.
actually, in my report, actually, I had a meeting today, in my report, I'll talk about it. It's $100 per district, then $160 per
Per participant.
activity, and $2.25 per participant.
Yep.
Correct.
Deb's
And
got
what
those
does that
numbers.
money go to?
Pardon?
Like, what does Minnesota High School League use that money for?
To run their programs.
Operating
and to
tournaments,
do everything.
Okay.
Pay for
To run
tournaments.
Tournaments, to pay
All
their
right.
coach,
Yep.
or,
Awards, it's,
yeah,
yeah.
medals,
Insurance,
yeah.
Okay.
venues.
their facility.
Oh, that makes sense.
They have increased those in recent years because COVID showed them that they were too reliant on ticket revenues from their state tournaments. So those numbers have gone up in relatively recent years, but they've gone back down now since when they were at their height in 21, 22-ish.
Yeah, after COVID, that was.
Yeah,
that
they
was
were,
quite
they were in
tough
real
impact.
trouble when they
Yeah.
didn't have state tournament revenue.
Are they
Yeah.
for profit? Or are they a 501c?
They have part of them as a they do have a nonprofit, and that's the money that districts can use for special grants and stuff. And then also, if they have surpluses, part of that money comes back to the districts.
Yep.
But then MSHSL itself is, I don't know if it's for profit, I don't really,
I'm not totally sure what their classification
I
is,
don't know either.
but yeah,
But they do
that's a
have a
good question.
foundation, a nonprofit
Yep.
foundation piece.
We can use those grants for things like coaches, professional development, and stuff like that.
Have we ever taken
I was gonna
advantage
say,
of
do we
something like?
utilize that?
Yep. Yeah, you basically just fill out a Google form.
Yeah, I think it's twice a year, there's grant applications.
Yeah, they have a Form A and a Form B grant application
Yeah.
process.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving the MSHSL annual agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, 7.6, review on act on the Southwest Metro Long-Term Facilities Maintenance Plan.
Okay, so we actually have two resolutions that Southwest Metro would like us to approve. So every year, Southwest Metro, the LTFM resolution enables Southwest Metro to levy dollars for their member districts for LTFM maintenance needs. The amount is determined by multiplying the total cost of the intermediate school district's long-term facility maintenance program times the percentage that weighs the two components of each member district's portion of the special ed tuition billing and vocational billing. So this year, Jordan Public Schools LTFM levy is $8,180. So this is for the Pay 26 levy, which they will receive as income in fiscal year 27. So I think so we have two to do. So do you want to do the LTFM resolution first?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Is that the 168,000 one?
Yeah, I gotta read it. Yes, it is 106. Their total revenue, they write the resolution as for the fiscal year, they're gonna budget 168,000, but our portion of that is $8,180.45.
And the reason they do this is because intermediate districts cannot go out for levies to obtain money for their facilities and stuff like we can. So, is that correct?
Yes, and if they didn't do this, they would just increase our rates and invoice us all the more.
Okay, so the first resolution, approving Southwest Metro Intermediate School District 288's long-term facility maintenance program budget and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of those projects. So that means it'll be divided between the 11 member districts. Be it resolved by School Board District 717, State of Minnesota, School Board of Southwest Metro Intermediate School District number 288 has approved a long-term facility maintenance program budget for its facilities for fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $168,957. I'm not going to read this whole thing.
No.
Motion to approve the resolution for
Thank you.
intermediate district.
The LTFM.
Okay, I think I have to make the motion as I read this.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
So I will move the approval of this resolution, so looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, Lauren. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as I started to read. Any questions? Okay, if not, this is a roll call vote.
We can use our LTFM, right, to pay their LTFM?
They levy it just comes off of our levy dollars.
Oh.
It's just a separate line item on our tax levy.
Got it, okay. So it doesn't
That they
actually
get.
come in and then go out? Got
Yep,
it.
it's a flow through.
Okay, good question. Any other questions?
This is new. We haven't done this in the past.
We've
Yeah,
done this, we have to do this every
We do it
year.
every year?
Yep.
Okay.
We
I
do
guess
it by
I'm-
July 1st.
Sorry.
I think it wasn't
I
last
was,
year.
I was super confused. I'm like,
second year.
and
You might have been out of town last year. in
Okay.
June.
Yeah, it could have been.
I think it was like the
Might have
same
been
amount
travel.
roughly too.
Yeah.
Because next month, we're gonna come and we're gonna do our LTFM.
Okay.
You guys get to see me 2 months in a row, or 2 months in a row.
We always see you.
Yes, you have.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, roll call, please.
Molly Maniak,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Corinne Hennon,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yes.
Christina Olson,
Yes.
Deb Polly.
Yes, motion carries. Okay,
Next one we're gonna do is the safe schools. For the same reason, they get to levy our dollars and use for the safe schools that they use for their resource officers or security systems and things like that. So for this, our levy portion for the pay 26 levy for the fiscal year 26-27 is gonna be $10,367.34. And that's also a separate resolution. Elise, can you go to that one, back to the agenda and go to the calculation and levy formula? So if you look, this document will tell you how much each of the member districts have to pay for LTFM, lease levy, and school levy. That's maybe a better explanation of it, but this also requires a resolution.
so
You make
does
that a
anybody-
little bit larger? My computer died, so I just want to thank you.
It's like prorated by number of students, right?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
It's by how many special ed students we have there, how many VOTEC or vocational students, and
By
so forth.
usage.
By usage, yep.
Not by our district numbers, but by our usage
Yeah, yeah. The
numbers.
Yeah.
number of kids
Yep.
that are attending. Yeah.
Yes.
So then do the the associate members,
They don't do this, but they have a different fee scale.
okay, theirs would be wrapped into then their fees
Mhm.
schedule
Yeah.
covering some of that. Gotcha, I should know that.
It's tuition, well, I mean, it's confusing,
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure it's part of their tuition costs.
okay.
Either way, they're paying a portion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, questions?
Do you need to motion it?
I need to motion
Yeah.
it according to this, so I will move the resolution approving the Southwest Metro Intermediate School District Safe School Program and inclusion of the proportionate share of the program in the district's application for safe schools revenue. So now a second. Jenny?
I'll second.
Okay, Jenny, thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Lauren Pedersen,
Yes.
Corinne Hennon,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yep.
Christina Olson,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes,
Molly Maniak.
yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, review and act on the 25-26 insurance renewal policy.
This is why I'm still up here. So, our district property casualty and workers' compensation insurance is expected, it expires on June 30th, so we have to have something new in place. So every year in about April or May, right now we use Choice Insurance Company out of Jordan, and he will go out and solicit companies to hopefully, and he markets our school district. So, we are currently with EMC Insurance for the property and liability insurance, and RAS, which is Risk Administration Services, for the workers' compensation insurance. And our insurance agency of record is Choice Insurance. So our insurance agent, once again, went out for competitive bids. There were not many insurance companies that will insure school districts anymore. EMC is one of a few. There were a couple of changes this year. The way building roofs are insured is changing. So going forward, roofs that are over 15 years old will not be insured at 100%. After that point, after the 15-year point, the replacement value will be depreciated. Also, with the renovations the district did, we added values to our property. Renee and I met with Dale Lockout and Ben Brunn from Choice Insurance, and our insurance renewal rates are as follows. So, as you can see, our property is going to be $209,374. There's just some other line items: inland marine, crime. Our cybersecurity is with Beasley Insurance, and that went up very minimal. That cost is going to be $11,839. We have a business auto, we have a general liability insurance, our umbrella insurance, a linebacker policy, and then you get to our workers' compensation, which you can see went down almost $30,000, probably about $30,000, for a total premium package of $336,690.31. It's a $20,688,000 difference from last year. Our agent did reach out to other companies. SFM Mutual, which is a workers' compensation insurance, he was told they'd be at least $20,000 higher than RAC. Acuity Property Insurance provided price indication that they would be about $50,000 higher. Berkeley Liability, they're not currently taking on any new school districts, and that's the same with the CIC package. It is my recommendation that the district stay with the companies recommended for the above 25-26 school year. EMC insurance for property liability, business auto, linebacker, and umbrella policies. Beasley for our cyber insurance, and RAS for our workers' compensation insurance.
And I would add, they are super responsive. We have had really great, I would say, interactions and experiences with them. Even when families need to, file claims for different things, they're wonderful to work with, and very, very responsive. I was very surprised that our insurance rate only went up $20,000, obviously because we added square footage, and that makes sense, and our buildings are worth more with, all of the work that we're putting into it. Because across the state, I know people have had a lot of trouble getting insurance, especially with the roof conversation. So I wanted to thank Amy. She's done a lot of work on this too. So
I have a question. Is Beasley, but they're not like the people that do our cyber security
Arctic
stuff,
Wolf.
right?
Arctic Wolf is our security. Beasley is our insurer.
So they pay if there's like an issue, but Arctic
They
Wolf
support
deals
our,
with the.
they support our district in a number of ways.
Okay.
With any issues.
Just wanted to make sure I understood. And then
Yeah.
can you scroll back up, please? I had a question about one of that. What's like inland marine? Like, what does that cover?
That basically covers like our toolcat, I don't know why they call it inland marine, but it's like our lawnmowers and our things that are not driven on the roads all the time.
Oh, got it. Like, okay.
The toolcat, the golf carts, things like that.
Do we need insurance on those?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just wondering.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, and then we can discuss.
Motion to approve.
Jenny, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mo, okay. Questions, discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the insurance renewal signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Safe travels home.
Thank you.
Okay. Board and administrative reports, Superintendent Evenson.
Oh my gosh. Well, happy June, everybody. Corinne, it's almost time for a new school year. So I had to say it. I will say, our school year finished up just beautifully. I enjoyed so much May, all of the concerts, the theater, our student athletes, just our kids were so good. And so I want to give a shout out to our students, our staff. They were phenomenal. We had, again, a big undertaking with packing, getting ready to move, equipment across the street for summer programs. You wouldn't have believed it. I mean, it was so efficient and so well done. So just huge gratitude for that. Now we've got a lot happening still. State tournament week is upon us. So tomorrow morning, I'll be out at Ridges right away in the morning. I think Hannah, I think her tea time's 8:38 a.m.
You don't know if it's front or back, do you?
I actually don't. I can text John though.
Yeah, I can text him too.
And so Hannah tomorrow, but we also have state track this week. It's usually not during the week during baseball, but there were some scheduling things. I think with St. Michael Albertville and the campus where they hold that. And then also we host the state baseball tournament, so we have a lot of people volunteering down at the mini-met this week. I'm gonna head to St. Michael on Wednesday and see as many athletes as I can participating, but just wish them all so much luck, and their names are reflected there. I just think that says a lot about our district and our programs to have that many kiddos qualifying, so it's pretty cool. Thank you to the staff and coaches that really support these kids and help this be possible. Building construction, as I mentioned, phase 2 is underway. My gosh, before even the end of the school year, we had demo done in the ELS side. Last week, as you saw in my weekly update, demo was complete in our K1 area. They're already starting to frame back and do joist reinforcements, and they are cruising along. So I can't wait to take you all through on the 23rd so you can see some of the completed spaces and the progress that we've got so far. It's pretty cool. As a reminder, summer programs, and they all started today, are over at the middle school here, and it's pretty smooth. You know, Kevin Sayers does a lot of the targeted services and a whole team of people, Chad Williams with the ESY and a whole team, and they just do a really great job. So that went off without a hitch this morning, and the thing I would throw out there is the playgrounds are closed for the summer. We need to keep them closed because there's so much heavy equipment and construction on both the front and the back of the elementary school, so that's kind of a bummer, but they will be back open before we know it and safe to be over there. Sunset Drive, as you can tell, that's a thing. It is. I think substantial completion is scheduled, like per their contract, for August 29th. You know, they know that our open house is the 28th, and they're going to try their hardest to, you know, make that happen for us. But it all depends on the weather and all of the things. For anybody in the community that's listening, you know, we appreciate very much when they follow the road construction signs. It does make it more dangerous for the workers and for our people going across on campus when people cut through, you know, through the temp access and then drive through our lot to get to the other side by Aberdeen, and driving through construction is really dangerous. So I would ask that they respect those construction signs, because we do have a lot of people crossing back and forth that we need to be able to do, and having traffic where it shouldn't be is kind of tough. So that being said, you know, it's expected to be closed through Labor Day, but they're going to try. And, you know, I think, you know, to start, I think, you know, we had a few bumps, like when the temp access was going in and that, but I do appreciate the communication and responsiveness, and they updated the signage right away. I know, you know, that first day I talked to 1 or 2 board members as well, and we got the kinks worked out, but the city takes the lead on that communication in Bolton and Mink, and communicates with us, and then we communicate what we can. So it's going to be a busy summer, but we appreciate the support and the patience. I know I don't always have patience, you know, with my commute now being 15 minutes to work. Horrible. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
I know. That's what my husband says. He drives to Minneapolis. So, but yeah. And again, I want to say thank you for the partnership too with the city and Bolton and Mink. They've been really responsive. So that's my report. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and we have all the other administrative reports. Any comments or questions or anything about any of them? I know that Elise has a big task in front of her with transitioning over to the new website and keeping everybody informed about everything going on. So thank you for all of that you do, Elise, very, very much.
I'll just let you know when it says graduation's at 2 a.m. again.
I did have a question for Stephen, who's not here, but maybe somebody else knows. So the new phone system, they will have the capabilities of texting.
Yes,
Will the system know if the people calling are calling from a landline?
that I don't know.
Okay, that's,
That I
next
don't
time
know.
I see Stephen.
Actually, do you mind if I touch on the
No,
phone
go
system
ahead.
just for a moment? I know it was in his report.
Mm-hmm.
But that is something that we've been kind of kicking that can down the road. It is aging out, and they're not going to be supporting our phone system much longer, so we did need to make the shift with that. The positives is that it will have more opportunities for staff and more technology tools for them to use. The other piece is long-term, it'll be a lot more cost-effective for us, but that will be something that will be changing over soon, is our phone systems. And we've had the one that we have for a really long time.
Yes, a really long time.
Really long time, so.
Okay. On to committee reports. Budget finance, we heard all about that tonight. Calendar is not met, city school has not met, community ed and rec. Corinne.
We met last week. The entire meeting was around budgeting, discussing annual fees and costs and just looking at trends and what we're going to do in the next year or two. And that is all we discussed.
Okay, thank you. District advisory did not meet, facilities, no, meet and confer, no negotiations. Depending on what happens today with the legislature, I'm guessing that could start ramping up here shortly. Lauren?
I know.
So, yeah. Okay, policy has not met. APAC, I don't think we have meetings since the last one. I know they've got a camp coming up.
Yep. Horse camp.
Horse camp, Booster Club, Lauren or Chrissy?
Not able to make it to the last meeting.
I don't think I was either.
Oops, okay. Where's Ron?
On a lake.
Yeah. Ed Foundation, Molly.
Did not meet.
Okay. Legislative, we'll see where that goes. I had it on in the background at work today most of the day. It was pretty, the floor session, it was pretty interesting, so we'll see where that goes. I did have a MSHSL Region 2AA meeting today. Some interesting stuff. The athletic director, Brad Skogerby from New Prague, will be the new, this region 2AA and 3AA, I believe. He will be the rep that will sit on the MSHSL board. Ozzie Sand termed out today, and he will be sitting on the Region 2AA committee. But Brandon Arnold will be the coach rep, which is really, considering how many schools they have, the fact that we've had two coaches sit on there is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. I shared this a little earlier. Wrestling is going to add a half day to the state tournament. Wednesday afternoon will be girls wrestling mainly. Then we'll make it a Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, Friday. Also, because of the fact that they're adding ninth grade, MSHSL is adding ninth grade to their roster. They have increased their catastrophic insurance from $3 million to $5 million. That's over and above the ninth grade issue, but they increased that. But they added in wrestling, they're adding a lower weight class. We're not 100% sure, Molly, I talked with her, it's like 96 or 98 pounds to take into consideration the ninth graders are smaller kids.
Ninth grade? It doesn't go down to seventh grade?
If seventh and eighth graders compete at the varsity level, they are covered by the catastrophic. But prior to this new change taking effect July 1st, I believe it is, ninth graders are now automatically part of it. They never were before. They only were if they competed at varsity level.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
So it's a huge change. I mean, the bylaws and everything for MSHSL, everything is changing as a result of that, so. There was a little bit of discussion. It sounds like the league has formed a committee, working committee, to look into online students and their participation in MSHSL. So they're kind of the feeling that there's the possibility that those kids would have to compete in the district that holds the online school in the sport. So that could be a big change. So that's a work in progress. Jamie, who's the Region 2 AA director, said that he thought that they would have a decision by fall, but it looks like it'll be a year from fall, so. Yes. And MDE is staying out of the decision. They want nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Won't that eliminate a bunch of kids?
Pardon?
So like our
That'll
home
eliminate kids.
Well, we just changed
It would be Houston.
Houston.
Minnesota.
That's-
Houston.
Yeah, oh, no. Yes.
Okay, so where's Houston, Minnesota? So like
Down by
our kids
Rochester,
that
down by
do
Rushford Peterson area.
Online school would have to compete for Houston?
Yeah.
That makes zero sense.
So they'd have to
Exactly.
travel 2
To
hours or,
Rochester.
Yeah.
right, so like it's not, it's
It
gonna
makes no
eliminate
sense.
kids being able to participate.
Yeah.
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 That's dumb.
It makes no sense.
No.
It should be
But-
like wherever their home
Just my
district
opinion.
is, like by their address.
Yeah, or it's going to make every district have to get their own
Yeah.
online. program.
Which isn't
And it's not
sustainable.
cost
Isn't
effective.
feasible
Right.
at
And
all.
we can't afford
No.
to continue with the one we were with,
Right.
so,
That's gonna be a very impactful
yeah. I
discussion.
think it'll be really contentious, especially in greater Minnesota.
Yeah.
That'll be even tougher than our conversation.
We had a lot of discussion about where sections are gonna be held and how the dates, conflicting with like Rosh Hashanah and different things. So we had a really productive meeting today. It was very, very good, so. Scale, Lauren?
I did not go to scale. I had an appointment that morning, and I
I
couldn't make
did,
it.
but I don't remember. I'm sorry. I feel like the last time they had it was, I feel like it was a phase 2 of the DEMCON conversation. And, just talking about different things that they're doing in schools with the environment, but that's all I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. SEAC, Molly, if you haven't met, okay, Southwest Metro. I have a meeting Tuesday, had a meeting last month, just lots and lots and lots of changes there. They're moving a lot of programs around. Our program over here is gonna be moving to Eastern Carver County, to the, East Union site. The city actually tonight is gonna be discussing, the police officer position because the SRO that they shared with Southwest Metro is no longer gonna be needed down here. So,
I would imagine that would create some staffing challenges then.
it is, that's what they're
Yeah.
discussing at city
Wow.
council tonight, so.
Yikes.
Let's see, yeah, and they're moving people around, there's been a lot of changes in staff and stuff there, so lots going on there. Negotiations are gearing up there too, so. Okay,
I do have one question with the high school league. Like, when do they start? Because aren't we changing some classes for our teams?
Yes, I have to think about what month we sent that out.
Yeah, that was-
April?
right.
April, May? I'll look and see if I can find it.
It's like
I think I
softball
put
was
it in the
up,
I would
update.
say softball's changing, I think, for
Softball
next
goes
year.
up, and then something else
Football
goes down.
changed. There was a
Football
bunch of
went
things.
down.
Yeah.
right?
I need to find that update. I think it was around early April.
Okay.
Okay. Board reports, Molly, we'll start with you.
Oh, Lord. So super proud of our girls softball team. It was really fun to see them get as far as they did in section. And I think it was really cool because our little Jaguars all took a fan bus down. So they had a good old time down there. Didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it was good. It was fun.
They did really well.
They did really well. So yeah, I don't really have anything else. Just kind of busy with coaching and softball and traveling all over the place. So, but everything's good.
Lauren?
Looking forward to going to the state track down at St. Michael Albertville on Friday because Landon's running in it, so I'm gonna go. But, and we've got a lot of Jordan kids running in it, so, and doing activities, so I think we got like, 13 kids?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got a lot, so congratulations to those kids, and wish them a lot of success in their races and jumps and all of that good stuff, but otherwise, I don't have anything else to report.
Great.
Yes, same thing. Congrats to the state participants, track and golf. Girls softball that was a heartbreaker listening to. Congrats to the graduates, obviously, and the teachers for surviving. So, as far as us, busy. All the camps started this week. So, and actually, no, last week camp started. So just get right into it. School's done, and then you go into the camps. That's all I have.
Jen?
We're the same. Kids started coding camp today and just finally enjoying summer. I just realized also I'm not going to be at the next board meeting.
Actually, I'm not going to be at the next board meeting either.
The work session?
Yeah.
No, oh, I'm sorry, I meant July. So you're not going to be at
I'm
work
out
session?
June, 23rd. We're on vacation.
And I'm out July 14th, I'm on
Make sure you
vacation.
text me and remind me when we get closer.
I was just looking at the dates and I was like, oh, I think we're gone. But yeah, otherwise, that's about it for us.
Chrissy?
So I had the opportunity to go to the middle school band concert, and that was fun. They played a piece from all 9 parts of Star Wars. And we played like 3 when I was in high school, and I know how hard those are. So I was pretty impressed that these like 7th and 8th graders, and we were in high school when we played it. So it was pretty impressive to see that. It was very long, but very impressive. Otherwise, we graduated our oldest out of St. John's, so we are looking forward to going to the high school next year. He's very excited to go shopping for school clothes this summer, not uniforms. And then we're just in the thick of baseball now, so that's been fun, getting to watch all the kids play that. That's all we got.
Matt?
I just want to say thank you for the warm welcome for the first meeting. We are excited to go to our trap shooting for state in Alexandria on Friday. Jordan Clay Target actually won the conference for their conference here, and then we'll be heading to Michigan in July for nationals for trap shooting. So exciting, and then my daughter's doing dance, and I just want to. It was a beautiful graduation ceremony. I attended that. It was you guys all did a great job, and weather was beautiful, so that did help. So, but just thank you for welcoming aboard.
Good, thank you. I just want to say a great end to the year. Thanks to all of you for all you do all year and for graduation and the end of the year breakfast and everything. It was great. And I just want to say that I am so glad that we have commencement the Friday before Thanksgiving, before
That's something I would have said.
Because I have been today at the MSHSL thing, everybody was talking about, yeah, we had graduation just Friday night, and it seems like, holy cow, ours was eons ago. So grateful for that. Yeah, I'm just grateful, that we're done. So, Festival of Nations at the middle school. If you get a chance, go next year. It is so amazing. Those kids were just so articulate and so exciting, and it was great. Good luck to everybody at state. And other than that, have a good couple weeks here.